everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Maddie. If you are new here, I'm a new grad nurse. I'm starting a new grad program shortly, which I haven't told YouTube about this. I've only told my nursing Instagram that I'm going to be working as a pediatric nurse in a new grad program. So I'm super excited for that. I start in like a couple weeks, but by the time this video is up, it might be like the week before I'm starting or something. So I'll definitely make sure to vlog all that, and I'm so excited for this new grad journey. I'll make another video of like how to get a job in pediatrics and like new grad program stuff and applying and interview tips. But I did want to make this video first. It's more of like, as you've seen from the title, it's kind of how to prep and how to study for the NCLEX. Like everybody has a different way of studying for the NCLEX, but I just want to share some tools that helped me. And I felt like my school prepared us very well with our exit HESIs and like the way our questions were worded in our nursing exams throughout nursing school, that when I went to the NCLEX, I didn't think it was so difficult, but also they kind of taught us how to answer NCLEX style questions, so I thought that was really helpful. But let's get into this video of how I studied and what helped me to pass the NCLEX in 75 questions. So first of all, I am a very fast test taker. I take tests super fast. I'm the type of person where I read the question, I read through the answers, and I click my answer and I click next, and I just keep going, because if I sit on a question too long, I start overthinking it. So if you're someone like me who tends to overthink things, maybe just read the question a couple times, read the answers, and then pick your answer and then just go to the next. Because if you sit on that question for a little bit longer, you might start overthinking and be like, well, what if this is the right answer? And I tend to change my answers all the time. So, and I'm like stuck between two. I'm like, well, it could be this one, but also it could be this one. So like, I kind of like overthink it way too much. But so I did pass my NCLEX in 75 questions, and I probably took it within like 45 minutes. Obviously I stopped at 75, but with the new NCLEX coming up, I think there's only like a month left. I did have an option to like take the survey at the end of like a practice round of the new Next Gen NCLEX, and I thought it was pretty interesting. It had like drag and drop stuff. They had like select alls, and you got to read like the patient or the nurse's notes, patient history, like doctor's notes, doctor's orders, and then from that information you can apply it to your question, which was kind of helpful. And I heard they do give you your lab values on the Next Gen, but not the old NCLEX. They didn't give you any lab values. You just had to memorize them. But I think lab values are the one thing that I focused on, like memorizing and remembering, rather than other content I felt like I already had like learned throughout nursing school, so there wasn't need to memorize material. It's just applying your knowledge into these questions. So I graduated in December of 2022, and I took my NCLEX February like 20th or something. February 18th, that's when I took it. So I had like a whole month and a half to study. I did take since I graduated like in December, I had Christmas break. I took those 2 weeks off, and then a little bit after, I decided like I should probably get starting to study, because I was still waiting for my ATT from the board of nursing, and California was taking a while because I went to school out of state in Colorado. So that was like, it just took me a little time to get my ATT. So I was just kind of waiting like, when should I start studying? And I was like, maybe I should start like freshening up on some stuff. So first I watched Mark K's lectures. My friend Emma sent them to me, so I don't have them physically that I can give out to people. But if you do go on YouTube and type in like Marquet's lectures on YouTube, I'm pretty sure, like I saw a couple of videos and that they were on there. So, and I can find this girl, she, in my other older YouTube videos a couple of weeks back, I did talk about this girl who put all of like this Mark K stuff in a Google Drive, and it was like the blue book and the yellow book, and I used one of the books and I wrote in stuff, and that's how I just listened to lectures and wrote all the information down of what I thought was important and extra stuff he added on. He's very helpful on like helping you pass the NCLEX. Like he gives you specific tips and tricks on how to memorize things and like apply them to a question. So like we went through nursing school and we studied for how long your program was, and I feel like all the knowledge that you've learned, you're able to apply them to these questions. So he was helpful with that, and and trying not to like panic. And I thought lecture 12 was important. I feel like everyone's like, make sure you watch lecture 12 like right before your NCLEX, like a couple days prior. And I did, and I think I shouldn't have done that. Like I was overthinking, I was panicking. I'm like, yeah, I get it, like don't expect 75 questions. But there's stuff that he was talking about before on how to answer questions when you're like, you don't know the right answer, or like you're stuck between two options. And I was just second guessing myself, and I was like panicking and having anxiety attacks, and I was like, that was silly of me to watch, because like 2 days prior I was like, give me the test right now, I can probably take it. And then like 2 days prior I was like panicking, which I feel like that's pretty normal for anybody. So first I did watch Mark K lectures, and then from Mark K I bought uworld. uworld, I bought the 60-day package because it comes with one self-assessment, and I think it was like $159, around that price range. And I didn't need like 90 days because I was taking it like in a month at that point. And from there, once I bought it, I did around 75 questions a day up to 150 questions a day, depending how I was feeling. I would first, this is really weird of how I did it, but I'll explain to you guys and also show you on, hopefully I still have, I'm pretty sure I still have access to uworld. Along with uworld, I had Your Nursing Educator's like study guide NCLEX guide she has, and I felt like her guide was literally like a textbook for uworld, because I would go in, there's like a pediatric integumentary system, and I would read that, and I'd go take like a pediatric integumentary like 10 question quiz, and then I go back and go do pediatric respiratory, read what she said, kind of like focus on main points, highlight, take notes, then I go take an assessment. And I felt like I was really doing really well on that. But before I even started doing that, I was just doing 25 questions randomly just to see how I was doing with questions. And I was in the like, I feel like my scores were ranging. At the beginning, I was like 60s, some 50s, and then 60s. And then I'd gradually go up as I was progressing each week. But yeah, that's how I did it. I can show you right now of like what my uworld looked like and what my uworld scores are and my self-assessment, because I always like to compare myself to others, which you shouldn't, but I always like to see where other people were sitting at right before an NCLEX or around that stuff. So I'll show you like all my scores too. So here we are in uworld. I started doing tutor mode at the beginning, and I hated it because I would answer a question and I would get it wrong, and I'd get in my head and I'd keep getting answers wrong in a row. So when I turned off tutor mode, I started doing so much better on uworld, because I would read all the rationales at the end after I took like a 20 question test or whatever. So you can do it by unused, incorrect, marked or whatever. Like some questions I'd mark, but I did obviously unused, and I would click, like how I was saying with Your Nursing Educator's Guide, I click like adult health and do like cardiovascular, and at the bottom here I do like 10 questions of cardiovascular and generate the test. So, and then I would go through, make sure I'd go through, like I did 1 day of adult health, 1 day of child health, 1 day of critical care, fundamentals, yada yada yada, 1 day of those, and like a week I was done with going through her guide and also doing like 10 questions in each category of like, once again, here's child, I did endocrine, and then I would do GI, and then do growth development. So that's what I did. And then towards the end, once I finished everything, I did all subjects, all systems, and I did like 75 questions. So down here I just type in 75, just take a test and I do like 75 twice in a day. So here is my performance. Overall, I was sitting at 64% once I finished not all the questions, because I only used 49% of the test bank, but I got 64% correct, and that's good for uworld. I was sitting at 89th percentile. The average was 48th percentile, so I felt pretty good there. This is just like reports. This is, I guess, yeah, as you can see, I was kind of all over the place with, this is by test, and this is by date. So like here at the very beginning, here's a 44%. I think that was when I did only OB, and I suck at OB. And then over here, I did pretty well up and down. It just kind of ranged. Here, I'll show you my previous test. So this was like right before the NCLEX, like 2 days prior, I got some 80s, but those were only like 5 questions. Here's some like 10 question ones, and 65% on this 75 question, and 56 here, and that was like February 8th, and I took it February 18th or 19th or whatever. But that was my uworld, and why towards the end I was only doing like 10 questions here there is because I was on TikTok and I was just scrolling through like how people studied for the NCLEX, how they passed in 75 questions, just how they passed in general. And I felt like a lot of people on TikTok were saying Archer looked like the NCLEX, was very similar, like worded questions, and that you have like readiness assessments on Archer, and I thought those were super helpful because it was kind of like, I felt like I was taking an NCLEX. It would be 75 questions and you would take it and it'll give you like a score of like high or very high like uworld does, but uworld you only get one. On Archer you get unlimited, as many as you want. Unfortunately I can't show you my uworld, what was I saying, my uworld assessment that I did get a 72% and I got a very high chance of passing on uworld. So I was doing uworld for a little bit and then I found Archer and I bought Archer, and Archer is pretty cheap. It was like 59 bucks for the 30-day one, and I really liked Archer. I liked the way the questions were worded and I felt like it was very similar. I agree with everybody that it was very similar to how the NCLEX was worded and looked like. So here I'll show you my Archer program that I got. So here's Archer. This is, my friend used it as well. Shh, don't tell anybody. But let's see, because here I am, that was her. Here's me, I was doing like 64%, that was a 75 question, 63, 80, 90, 60, a 63. Let's see if I can find an assessment. That was an assessment one. Let's see another assessment. So on Archer, which is cool, here's my CAT exam. I got an 87% on that one. Here's another assessment, 61%. I was like, I'd go from 60s to 70s to 80s depending on how many questions I was doing. But on Archer, when you create a test, this is the one thing I also like. So I would turn off tutorial. Here's the readiness assessment. You can do as many as you want. They're timed and they're only 75 questions. I would do those ones and it would give you like your very high or high. I can show you that in a second, what it looked like. They also had this thing called CAT adaptive test, and it was kind of like a mimic of the NCLEX where it would just give you a pass or fail result. So here I'll show you if I can find one. Here's my CAT. So here's my CAT. It would just say your result, pass, and here was a graph. Here's like the passing grade that you needed in order to pass the NCLEX type style, and here's like where my graph was. It was going here. Every time I'd answer a question, it would go like up that way, and it was an overall 87%, so it would give me, I got 87 right, 13% wrong, how many times I changed my correct answer to incorrect or incorrect to correct. So that was the CAT exam, which was kind of cool. It was just 75 questions again. Here I can show you a readiness assessment. Here's one of the readiness assessments. My score was 68% and the average was a 56, and over here like chances of passing very high. And on Archer, if you get 4, I don't know if it's 4 in a row, but if you get 4 very high or high chances of passing, that means you have a 99% chance of passing the actual NCLEX. So I thought Archer was really helpful. Something also about Archer, they have, I don't know where it is, there was a part. They do have like study calendars that if you were taking it in like 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 12. They also have live lectures. I didn't buy that unfortunately because I felt confident in how like throughout nursing school and like with my knowledge that I have. So I just did practice questions. Like I said, I just did as many practice questions as I can. I felt like throughout nursing school, that was super helpful for me. Just like with exit HESIs and HESIs, I just did a bunch of practice questions. I'd brush up on material and just do as many practice questions as I could. Because for me, that is what was beneficial. Just doing so many practice questions and seeing what I got wrong and like why I got that wrong. So what I did obviously was did questions and read all of your rationales. A lot of people said like you only have to read like your incorrect or whatever, but I mostly read all of my rationales, and towards the end I started only reading my incorrect ones because I felt like I just wanted to bust out so many questions. And also on my computer, when I would finish like a test, I'd close my window, I'd just make it smaller and put Word doc on next to it, and I'd type out like rationale stuff, like little stuff I thought that was important on how if this question, a question worded like it came up on the NCLEX, like kind of what goes with it, whatever. But rationales are super important. I make sure you read your rationales because that's always helpful. At the very end, like the week before my NCLEX, I did Beautiful Nursing has a 1-hour NCLEX review, and it's kind of like Mark K's NCLEX review, but it's just 1 hour of just like straight nursing material that's very important for the NCLEX. So I did watch that, and I kind of thought that was helpful because it was like Marquet's little tips just in a whole hour video. So if you want to go check that out, I'll make sure to link it below. But the things that I highly recommend to study with the NCLEX is just like brush up on material. Try to take it as like once you get out of nursing school. I feel like I've had so many people telling me that like they took it once they like finished nursing school, because everything's still fresh in your brain. If you wait for a long period of time, you're gonna start to like, I don't know, brain dump everything that you learned throughout nursing school. But as I waited like a month and a half to take mine, I still felt like that was a little pushing it for too long, and I wish I took it a little bit sooner. But I did pass, and I'm very happy that I passed. And things that helped me were Your Nursing Educator's Study Guide, uworld, and Archer. If you are trying to save money, highly recommend Archer. The questions were just very similar to the NCLEX, and I highly recommend them. This is not sponsored at all, but I highly recommend Archer. And they do have some Next Gen NCLEX questions. So if you're gonna be taking that one, Archer has those type of questions as well. To wrap up this video, I hope you guys enjoyed it. You can head over to my nursing Instagram and follow me there for just like some tips and stuff I throw out there for fun about my life and just nursing related stuff, and like my new grad programs coming up. So I'll be sharing over there first, and then YouTube will be second, just because I feel like once something happens, I can't edit a video in like a day. I could if I wanted to, but I don't have all the time in the world to do that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it is helpful for you guys, for these new graduate nursing students who are looking to try to pass the NCLEX. I hope you find this helpful for you guys, and if you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to my channel, because new grad program stuff is coming up, and I'll see you guys in my next video.